Hey, what's up? This is Beau Allen, the Butter King. 7-year NFL vet. Today on Butter Breakdowns, we're going to talk about my bread and butter defensive tackles. Let's go, baby. So unfortunately, the Super Bowl ended, a couple weeks ago. We're in a little bit of a football drought right now, but thankfully the Butter King is here to provide for you a lot of excellent football content. And I've actually been going on the Greenlight Pod with Chris Long and Macon, and we've been talking about all the upcoming, top picks in the upcoming NFL draft. So we started this week with defensive lineman, interior defensive lineman, something I'm really excited about, something I know well. So I figured it'd be a perfect opportunity to show you guys, some of these players we've talked about on the pod, show you their tape and, some of the scouting reports on them. Also, we got the NFL Combine this weekend, so stay tuned for that. It's a perfect time to talk about some of these really good players. So two guys that I am very high on are actually both from Texas, and that's Texas D tackle number 90, Byron Murphy, and Texas D tackle number 93, T'Vondre Sweat. And what's cool about these guys is they're both very talented, highly touted players, but they have very different play styles, so it's fun to watch them together. I thought they both played really well in the Sugar Bowl in the college football playoffs. So I pulled a bunch of clips from there. It's cool to see them, on the same field, and we'll get to that in a little bit. I want to give you guys a little bit of information on these players. So I want to give you guys just their stats and talk about them, give you a scouting report on them very briefly. Before you watch the tape. This is Sweat right here. T'Vondre Sweat, number 93, 6'4", 365 pounds. He's an absolute load. 2023, he had 45 tackles, 8 TFLs, 2 sacks, 4 passes defended. He was the Outland Trophy winner, a unanimous All-American, and the Big 12 Player of the Year. Had a really good season for Texas. And then Byron Murphy right here. Number 90 is incredibly athletic. He's a player that I've had so much fun watching him on tape. He can really do it all. He's a very, very polished player coming out of college. I think there are a lot of NFL teams that will be interested in him. I see him as a day one guy. So he's 6'1", 308. In 2023, he had 29 tackles, 8.5 TFLs, 5 sacks. He was a Big 12 Defensive Lineman of the Year, a second-team All-American. I'll be honest with you guys. He is really fun to watch. He's so explosive, and let's roll a tape and watch it right now. So I'm not going to get into as much football theory on this breakdown today. This is more of a scouting breakdown, but you guys know me. I can't really help myself, so we'll talk about some of it. But just real quick, talking about the kind of defense that Texas plays, they do a lot of different stuff. These guys played a lot together in the Sugar Bowl because Washington has a very explosive spread offense. And so as a result of that, the Texas defense played a lot of nickel. And what you see right here is just a very basic over front. You got Sweat here in a 3 technique. You got Murphy here in a 2-eye. And then, you have a 9 here and a 5 on this side. But throughout the course of the season, both these guys played a lot of zero tech nose. And, a lot more odd looks during the course of Texas 2023 season. So it was cool to see them play a lot together in nickel in this game. So on this play, we're just going to start. I want to start talking about Byron Murphy. I'll roll the clip, and then I'll show you what I like about him. So really good interior defensive line play from both these guys. Like I said, he has really good technique, but one thing I love about him is his ability to generate power and explosiveness out of this really wide 2-gapping stance. That's hard to do. He's a really twitchy player, and usually when you see guys in this wide base, they can't really gain as much ground, but he's so athletic that he's able to gain a lot of ground out of this 2-gapping stance. But one thing I love about Byron Murphy, he has a really nice, tight, powerful strike. His hand placement's really good. So on this play, his guard pulls. Watch how fast he's able to get his hands back to the center for this back block and get extension here, just like that. And then you see him, he's got really good play recognition. He's eyeing the back in the backfield while he's fully extended and then doing everything he can to drive this center on this back block back this way to close off this A-gap. It's really solid fundamentals and good technique from him. So look, right here, there is no A-gap. His hat and his eyes are in this backside A-gap, so that's covered. So that's just really good 2-gap technique there from Byron Murphy. And then Sweat actually ends up making the tackle on this. Like I said, here's Sweat right here. Big boy. Look at him. So he's a 3 technique. He's ended up getting a double team here. Goes down pretty thick on the guard. But I like his strike. I really like, I like this little, like he feels the tackle coming down to bump his hip. I really like here how he's got the guard fully extended. He's posted on this left foot here and dropping this right hip to reduce his surface area, which gives the tackle less surface area to block before climbing up to the backer here. And then watch what he does the moment he feels the tackle leave his hip right here. So he's got this really good extension and control of the guard, and then he comes back to make the play. That's exactly how it's coached. That's a really nice job from him. So the moment you feel that double team leave, get back into your gap and make that play. So really good job from those 2 guys on the inside there to get that stop. And then you see Sweat celebrating a little bit after the play. I love that. All right, let's watch this one here. Again, just from a philosophy standpoint, this is a pretty light box defensively. Okay, so what that means is you really need to play with solid technique in the run game here. If you have a light box, you just need to play well up front to make sure you stop the run. So we got basically another overlook. Instead of a 3 technique, Murphy is playing a 4-eye. We'll start with him. I'll roll the clip, then talk about it. Watch how twitchy he is. I mean, this is just fun to watch. He crosses over, but he's so explosive and so fast. Just from a very basic level, that's impressive. This is kind of what I'm talking about how athletic he is out of that 2-gap stance. One thing I don't love about this, he's to the front side of the play. He's kind of running himself out of it a little bit, which I don't mind. But it's really hard because he's a 4-eye here, so he's the inside half of the tackle. So this is his man-on key. As soon as his man-on key leaves, he's got to get his eyes and attention back to this guard who's coming to reach him here. He's a little late on it, which is why he ends up just getting vertical. All he's trying to do here is he knows that there's a zone run to him. And one of the reasons he knows that pre-snap too is because he's away from the back. So anytime you're away from the back, it's, typically the offensive line is going to come zone block at you. So all he's trying to do is just get vertical and cut this off so that the running back has to cut in front of him. I said I wasn't going to do too much football theory in this, but, is anyone really surprised? But the real star of the show on this play is number 93, Sweat. He's in this shade here. All I'm kind of watching this is just the big man move. Just watch this. He's 6'5", 365 pounds. Does a really good job of just keeping this guard off of him on this zone play, picking his feet up and just running this down and making the tackle. It's a nice job from him. I don't know what my guy number 0 is doing here, but my guy just hit this. TFL. Come on, buddy. Come on. Again, I don't know what Texas is being coached to do, but pretty basic over front. It's a good job from Sweat showcasing his ability on this play. All right, we have a 2nd and 9 here. Whenever you get a bear look, which just means there's 5 down defensive linemen, you're usually going to get the center. You'll see him go like this, which means 5-0, which means that these guys are all manned up on whoever they have, okay? So I was watching this for a little bit. It's a little more obvious in the NFL. It's not as obvious in college. But you see the guard right here signaling to the running back like this. He's kind of putting his hand down there like that. I think that's their 5-0 call. And so what you're going to see out of here is a really nice 2-man game from these 2 All-American defensive linemen. We call this a Ned. And what that means is because it's 5-0, there's no slide, everyone's manned up. The nose guard is going to go first, and then the tackle is going to wrap. It's a 2-man game on the inside. It's really good against 5-down protection. And I'll show you why I like this a lot, but I like the get off right here from this 365-pound load. This is a tough ask. This center, he doesn't look like a big body. So for him to, have 365-pound Sweat in man protection, he's very worried about his power rush. So he's going to try to set back on him and do everything he can to just kind of get in his way. But this is a really good job penetrating from Sweat here I like this rip that he brings. And basically all that he's trying to do is occupy this center, get in this crack so they can't pass it off, and his D-tackle lineman can wrap and make a play here. So that was a good job by Sweat. What I really like about Byron Murphy on this play is just how tight he wraps on this. The more air you can take out of this, like if he, let's say just hypothetically, he were to, widen his path and come out all the way this way. First of all, it takes more time to get to the quarterback. The fastest way to get to the quarterback is a straight line, okay? That's the shortest way to do it. But also, if he kind of wraps loose here, it gives the center more time to pass his game off and come off and try to block him. So it was a really good job wrapping tight there. It was a good game from these guys. But look at that throw by Penix, man. Like, what more can you do? You have an All-American in Byron Murphy bearing down on you, and you just absolutely drop the ball in a bucket. Like, that's a frustrating thing as a D lineman because these two dudes did everything right and got up in the quarterback's face, ran a great game, have a looper that's going to sack the quarterback, and it's a perfect pass. Shout out to Penix there. A lot of times when you people don't realize this, but to get a quarterback sack, you need to not only beat the offensive lineman in front of you, but you also need to beat the quarterback as well. It was a really good job by Penix getting rid of the ball there. All right, moving on. We have a 2nd and 10 here. Let's watch Byron Murphy on this play, and then I'll tell you why he's so fucking good. They go to empty. Look at him. Yeet. Just barely missed a sack there. So we call this two-bag drill. This is a drill that every D lineman does in Indy. We call it tight two-bag. You kind of put two pop-ups right next to each other, and you work your hips on it in a really confined space. This is why a lot of scouts are salivating over him here, okay? When you're a 2-eye, a lot of the times you end up getting the slide. And, I'll be honest, I have gotten the slide in my NFL career hundreds of times. And usually you just try to bull rush, press the pocket, and spy the quarterback. But this motherfucker can win against two people. I love how fast, so first he's violent, swiping the guard's hands off of him, and then he gets all of his attention and focus right to the center, and then watch how violently he flips his hips right here. That is a really nice thing. That's something, that kind of athletic ability and that bend and that hand violence, that's hard to coach, man. That's just a natural innate talent that he has that is really fun to watch, and that's why he's going to be a day one guy. But just look at that. This tight two-bag is so nice out of him. The ability to beat a slide is a very coveted thing. And, this should have been a sack. I talk a lot about on Butter Breakdowns about how sacks are created by good pockets. Let's say this end doesn't end up on the ground here and just kind of does a power rush. It's going to end up being a sack for Byron Murphy. It's a really good job by him. But then watch Penix escape it. First down. Penix played a really good game here. You want to know what you do when you have two really good defensive linemen? You figure out ways to get them on the field, and that's what Texas did. I love to see that. Both these guys played on Texas's goal line package. Here, Byron Murphy. Here is Sweat. Just watch this play. I love that Texas went to this in the Sugar Bowl. It's the biggest game of their year. Who's getting the ball down on the goal line? Big number 90, Byron Murphy. You love to see that. I just think it's really cool. Any big man touchdown really gets me excited. I love that Texas is willing to do that. Both these guys scored on offense this year, which I think is really cool. And you guys want to know another really athletic, handsome, smart, funny defensive tackle that also played a little bit of fullback? Your boy B.A. All right, moving on. Oh, this is a play I want to talk about for a while here. So, like I said, Washington is primarily a zone team, but they'll mix in a lot of gap scheme stuff. The first play we watched was kind of a variation of a one-back power. But what a lot of teams like to do against, defenses that have light boxes is run these wham trap plays. So I'm gonna talk about this for a while because I think it's really cool. I just want to play it first, and then I'll show you what it's good. So this is called a wham trap. Did not really work here because of these two big boys up front. But what the Washington offense is trying to do is, so they're blocking back on Sweat here. This guard is releasing out here. This tackle's climbing, and then they're kicking out Byron Murphy here so that they can split the defense and rip it up basically right up the middle of the defense. And it's a really good play against a light box. And it's also a play that a lot of teams like to run in the high red zone. Typically, it's really good against, one gap penetrating defensive tackles, which I think Byron Murphy has the ability to do. But Byron Murphy's really good at two gapping. And so that's one of the reasons why this play kind of doesn't really land. But also, there's a really good job here by Sweat, this big boy. The center's going to block back on him, okay? And he does a really good job of being physical and constricting it, which creates a much smaller gap. But then also, so I'll show that right here. Watch Sweat on this back block from the center. So he gets his back block because his guard is pulling. Really good job of just kind of man-dogging him, all right? Just driving him. Like, the ball starts on the hash, and he drives him like 3-4 yards and then crosses his face to get in on this play. It's a physical job from him bullying the center. Like, let's say that, hypothetically, Sweat gets stuck on this back block over here. Byron Murphy gets kicked out. And then this tackle gets up. Like, this thing is going to be a touchdown, man, straight up. So it's a really good job being physical on that back block from Sweat. But then let's watch Murphy here. He's a little late to get his eyes back to this guard that's coming to kick him out. A lot of times teams will run like outside zones with pin pulls from the tackle and the guard, so that's what he's thinking here. But then watch him get his eyes right here back to this guard. This dude has a full head of steam coming to absolutely blast him. Just watch this contact balance from Byron Murphy and just the way his athletic ability to just absorb this and just kind of olay him. Like, this is incredible. Like, this dude is coming right at him. He's like, oh shit. Just olays him and gets in on the tackle. Kind of a weird play. I like the wham trap concept. It really should have worked in this situation, but it's not good to wham trap two guys with the abilities that these guys have. But I like talking about that play because wham trap is kind of a peculiar run play. That's fun for me to watch. This is the very next play, okay? So this is 3rd and 1. I also thought this was hilarious. I'm just going to talk about this while I roll it. There's chaos in the field sometimes. The team's coming up, 3rd and short, get on the ball quick, snap it, try to catch a first down, and they get absolutely nowhere. Watch, just watch this play. Like, oh, what are we in? What's going on? They got tackle over. They're confused. That's real quick. Washington is in tackle over here, and the reason they do that, a lot of teams love doing this in short yardage. They go tackle over, try to confuse everybody, not sure where to set the front, and then they come up and run it on first sound. But, this dude's not even in his stance. Snaps his head back real quick, stonewalls his center, and then Byron Murphy is, barely in his stance, too. The ball snapped. Oh, shit. Look at this position. Wait. Still pops out of that and gets a stop. That's just hilarious to me. So then this is 4th. They get a stop on 3rd and 1. This is 4th and 1. This is a better picture of the new center. So you see Sweat here saying, hey, bump over. So they set the new center here. This is obviously the guard, but you consider it a new center for purposes of aligning the defense. And then all that, the Texas is just in a very basic bear front. So you have a 0, you have a 3 here, and you have a 3 here on the new center. And then direct snap to the running back here. And these two big boys up front, again, get it done. Absolutely nowhere for him to go. They're just all teams are trying to do with the hurry up, with the direct snap, the wildcat, and the tackle over is just confuse the defense pre-snap so that they can do a downhill run and pick up the first down. Problem is, you got a 365-pounder right here, and you have a guy who I think is a very, very polished, very, very good defensive lineman that is very strong at the point of attack. They got nowhere to go. So it was a really good stop from those guys. All right, last clip here. Washington offensively here is in gun far, okay, with a Y off. All gun far means is that the running back and quarterback are in shotgun, and far means that the running back is on the opposite side of the tight end. And this is a classic formation for the offense to run what I've called it a bunch of different things, like split zone, or I've called it flash before at different teams. And what that means is the O-line is zone blocking this way, tight end coming all the way backside, and then they try to hit it in this front side A gap, or else they can roll it backside if the front side is stopped up. So that's what split zone is. It's like a staple of a lot of shotgun run teams, staple of a lot of zone teams. But Byron Murphy does an incredible job on this play. I've said this before. Anytime you're 3 technique away from the back, you're probably going to get a reach block, okay? So be ready for that. What that means is you can widen your alignment a little bit and play it a little more vertically. I'm going to play this here. I've talked a lot about it pre-snap. What I really like here, if you watch, it's hard to see from this copy, but a really nice tight strike from Byron Murphy. He has really good hands. He plays with good technique. Really good job of striking this guard who's kind of reaching with some pace here, okay? And then I'm going to pause it right here. This center is running to bump his hip and then climb to the backer here. All they're trying to do is bump Byron Murphy out this way so that this can hit right inside of him. This is a blocking scheme that I've seen hundreds of times. But Byron Murphy does a really good job because he knocks the guard back and then he plays with really good contact balance. Like that center can't really displace him too much before climbing, and the running back has nowhere to go. Like, this is a really good job of just knocking this back from Byron Murphy as a 3 technique, which stops everything up, and then the boys on the backside run it down. So in conclusion, the combination of Byron Murphy and T'Vondre Sweat for Texas, it was awesome. It was really fun to watch this year. 2 very good players that are, highly touted defensive linemen that I think a lot of NFL teams will find attractive. I'm not like a NFL draft scout, but I think some good fits. Byron Murphy is an attractive player for 2-gapping teams. I think he would really excel in a one like a gap penetration team. So I'd love to see him play for like the Browns. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen, but a lot of different schemes would really like to have Byron Murphy. I could see him, playing for the Cardinals, the Packers, the Chargers, the Seahawks, the Broncos, the Steelers. We'll see where he ends up. He's a really good player. T'Vondre Sweat, more of a early down nose guard. Any sort of team that needs, a big space eater up front would like to, probably draft him. I think the Broncos, the Titans, or the Cardinals would be good fits for him. Very excited to see how these guys test at the Combine. Curious to see what their measurables and numbers are. Looking forward to watching them throughout this draft process and seeing where they end up. Thank you for tuning in for another Butter Breakdown. I'm going to release a lot of fun shit this offseason. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys want to see. Thanks.